seems like the handful of times that Hamidou Diallo has been able to dribble drive, compared to last year, it seems like there's more determination. He's not questioning what he's doing. Like, what goes into that? Is it just simply experience, or what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's an adjustment period for these guys, right? Coming from college and then they're going to the NBA and they're playing against more speed, more quickness, more length, more athleticism, and all of a sudden stuff that you were able to do, all of a sudden you start to realize, well, I can't do what I did early on. I need to figure this out. So I think a lot of times that creates probably a little uncertainty, a little hesitancy, a little uncertainty in terms of, can I get in there and finish? And I think now, just having some time under his belt, I think he's able to figure out how to play with a better pace, how to your point, attack and be aggressive when he has the right angles to be able to do that. I mean, he's a terrific athlete and he's got a really good feel of how to play. But I think there's always an adjustment period these guys go through when they're coming up to another level with the talent level they're going against.
And in your experience, like when you've coached players that are similar to Hami and that they're extremely athletic and it takes them a while to adjust once defenses have adjusted to them, what goes into applying that freakish athleticism into being a good basketball player?
Well, I mean, he is a terrific athlete and he's a superior athlete, as good as anybody here, but you got to figure out how to channel that athleticism and use it to your strength. So first thing is he can get out and transition and run. I thought last year at times he was a inconsistent runner. If we can advance to him and get him with a head of steam, obviously in the open floor, he's really, really good. I think picking his spots of when to drive and when to get downhill and when to play at the basket, I think at times last year he'd get it, just put his head down and just try to go, and it's just not there. So he can get different things into the game. I think his ability when he is inside to offensive rebound and slash, I think his cutting, I think all those things can play into his athleticism.
How is having a few young guys, including Hami, competing for spots on the wing changed preseason?
Yeah, I don't know if it changes. I think competition is always very, very good, but I think that we're a team. So I think you have to utilize the competition to try to make each other better. So I would hope that, as you're talking about, guys are competing for spots and roles and those kind of things. Ultimately, they all want to get better and they want to improve, but they got to compete in a way where they're making our team better and they're making each other better. And I think that's really, really important for us because our team has been, it's new. These guys are playing with each other for the first time. I mean, we're not even 2 weeks into the season yet. They got to get some comfort with one another, but you also got to compete at a high level so that you can get better. So I think the competition, the balance there for us, even though those guys competing for spots, has been really positive.
What has impressed you about Burton so far?
He's extremely versatile because he's a unique player. You would look at him as being an undersized wing or even a power forward, but he plays a lot bigger than his size. I think he's a fearless player. He really, really competes. I think there's things that he knows physically and from a strength standpoint that he can get into the game. I think he's a team guy. He's about the team. He's about all the guys in the locker room. He wants to help any way he can. I think he's another guy that will continue to get better and improve the more and more he's playing.
Billy, I know that you all kind of kicked around the idea of Andre playing with the Blue last season before ultimately he didn't play for the entire season.
Right.
Is that something that's still in play, him playing with the G League?
Well, we really haven't talked about that just because he did play 5-on-5 and played 5-on-5 the first week of practice, so he was out there with our team. So that was almost like playing in games because we were doing so much stretching. I think the next step would be is based on where he's at. If he felt like he needed more game experience, or he wants to, I want to go play in a game, maybe that's an option for him. But I think as long as we're in training camp and we're playing 5-on-5, he's getting that there. Plus, I think the Blue season starts a lot later than our season would start in terms of they're really going to practice and play games. So we'd have to see that. I don't want to say that hasn't even been discussed. It's always been what we've talked about is him in practice and how can we, get him to where he again is able to handle the workload on a consistent basis. And he's done a really good job because, he went a long period of time before we rested him, and that I thought was positive.
Do you anticipate him playing in the preseason game?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it's going to be up to the medical staff and to Andre. We're not going to rush him, but we're going to make sure that he's adjusting well to the amount of time that he's going to for in practice and what we're doing with him. So I think the biggest thing for us right now is just evaluate him, day by day and see what's happening, see where he's at, and he does stuff on the court. It may not be all the contact stuff he does, but I think the one thing we don't want to try to do is put him in a situation where we're just making him practice every single day, and he can never catch up from a recovery standpoint because it's been a year and a half without any level of high competition. And he's just going to need some time. His body's going to need some time to adjust to that.
Did he do anything this morning?
He didn't do anything this morning. No, he was out there. I mean, he shot around a little bit, but we pretty much had to shoot around with the guys that were playing. So we wanted to basically get the reps in today with shoot around with the guys that are going to be available to play.
Do you know who's going to start?
I do.
Are you going to tell us?
I'll wait on that.
Is everybody except for the people he mentioned? So are they all able to go?
Just Andre, Chris, and Steve were the guys that will be out tonight.
How much did being a full-time starter last year help Ferguson? On a good team like that, and also, how do you figure his role now evolves?
Yeah, I think it definitely helped me. I mean, I think everybody talks about the fact that, he stepped into that role. But the other thing that probably people don't talk about is Andre would have been our starting two guard. So you got a player come along with his first year who's learning the league, learning the NBA, he's adjusting. He's a young kid. He's played overseas 1 year. And now he's coming into his rookie year, and all of a sudden our starting two guard goes down and is out for another year, and now he's thrusted into a starting role. I mean, he could not have handled that any better. I mean, in a lot of ways, he really, really helped our team, because if he wasn't ready for that role or wasn't ready to step up into that role, we would have had a real void there. But he was really reliable on defense. I think as the year went on, he shot the ball a lot better. He did a lot of good things, but I think what he did last year was probably a little bit uncharacteristic of going from a guy that was just kind of getting his feet wet to a guy that was starting and playing whatever it was, 25 minutes, 24 minutes. I mean, it was pretty impressive what he did being so young.
Coach, one of your former players has been a massive topic of conversation over the last year and a half. Can Carmelo still add anything to any team in the NBA in your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I always enjoyed my time with Carmelo. Obviously, his skill set is terrific. I think there's a lot of talk that Carmelo maybe doesn't want to change. It's nothing to do with that at all. I think Carmelo's trying to find his way where he can be an effective player, and he's willing to do whatever. But when you've played a certain way and you've played at the level he's played at for so many years, that's what's made him special. So I think he's always been willing to try to figure out different ways to play. I don't think it's ever been like he just doesn't want to do that. I think he's trying to find ways to carve out a niche for himself where he can help a team. But he's a great guy. He was great to work with. I really enjoyed being around him. He was great in our locker room. He was a total pro. I thought he was a class guy. I felt like the conversations we had, we could have very, very direct, honest, open discussions. So I do think he could help somebody. I think it's all how can he go out there and do it. And some of the stuff maybe that's been asked of him has been stuff that maybe is a little bit new to him, in terms of trying to adjust to play like that.
With Adams and Paul both sitting, who are you looking to pick up that scoring, but also the leadership role that those two players bring?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have to be a team that's going to have to score through each other. We've got to basically generate good shots by moving the ball and screening well and helping each other and taking what the defense gives us. But I don't think you're going to go in there and say, okay, this guy's picking up for Chris Paul and this guy's picking up for Steve. And we're going to have to do that collectively as a team.